This is Gamer Weekly, bringing you the latest of what the video game scene has to offer. On today's show, I have Alex Preston of Heart Machine. We're going to be talking about their game, Hyperlight Drifter. Alright, and welcome to Gamer Weekly, the show that happens on a weekly basis. I promise, it definitely happens on a weekly basis. With me today is Alex Preston of Heart Machine. How are you today?
Hello. Oh, I interjected. I'm okay. How are you?
We're off to a great start. Anyway, so thank you so much for coming on to the show. I greatly appreciate it. There's been a lot of hype with Hyperlight Drifter, and it's well placed. It is a fantastic game.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for making it.
Yes, it was a lot of work.
I bet.
It continues to be a lot of work.
So, how did Heart Machine start?
In my underwear in my room.
Oh, nice, awesome. That's usually how most great companies start. So. Yeah,
I think so. I'm pretty sure that's how Hewlett Packard started. Apple started that way. You know, I'm just trying to follow in the footsteps of others.
I think that.
I was scribbling stuff in my notebook, like I usually do, and had been harboring an idea for a game for a long time. And, you know, every kid has their dreams that they want to attain when it comes to, well, if you're a nerd for video games, then making a video game. So it's just something that I had wanted to do for a long time. And the right timing and right people.
Yeah, no. So a lot of people have been giving it high acclaim as well. It's getting like 9s and 10s out of 10s. Like, did you guys expect that from the game?
I don't know. It's like I'm the type of artist that always second guesses himself and is very self-critical about any number of things in my work. So I also, when you're so close to a project for so long. Like, this is the most sustained project I've ever worked on, full force. So, you know, this was like 3 years of my life individually, and then 2.5 with the full team. So, you kind of lose perspective in some ways on if your game is good or not, because you're so close to it. You're like right up against the material, so everything becomes kind of blurry, or it becomes less apparent. Hold on 1 second. Tetris. It becomes less apparent what it actually what it actually is sometimes. So you have to take breaks and you have to pull back and you have to get play testers. And I think in general we knew that we liked the game and we were proud of what we're doing, but I always worry about reception from other people, and I don't presume to know this game's perfect, it's going to get so many good scores. Like, no, I see the flaws in it, and I see the things that I wanted to do that didn't go through, and I also see all the stuff that we did get in that we didn't think we were going to, and the amount of polish that we put into it. So the short answer is I didn't really know what to expect, and I'm always hedging my bets and second guessing.
And then when you start hearing the things back, you're just like, whew, okay, cool, awesome. That didn't turn out as a bomb as I was thinking it was going to happen.
In some ways, but in other ways, I still hold some tight reservations. Like, any moment, everything's going to explode. You know, I'm always on the edge, and I think that comes a lot from just my personality type, where it's like, oh well, I'm expecting the worst, and you know, life experience too. It's like things can always turn, so I'm always hesitant and always worried in some very minor degree in the back of my mind. It's like, yeah, we had success, but like maybe that's gonna change somehow, or maybe all these scores will disappear from the internet, or suddenly all the Steam users will give us negative reviews, and I don't know.
Or you'll wake up and the whole thing was a dream.
Yeah. So it's not to say I'm a total neurotic freak about this stuff, but I always have my doubts, and I always try and look at the full picture and breadth of possibilities. So I'm just like, I'm still tense. I'm not relieved, really.
I understand 100%, because that's exactly what I go through for the show and many other things in my life. So I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
So for somebody that hasn't seen Hyperlight Drifter, how would you describe that to somebody?
It's a overhead action adventure game in the vein of 16-bit classics with a lot of modern mentality, and it's pretty big. We made a big game.
So what games exactly like inspired it? Because you said that like it's 16-bit, but I kind of almost see like even some like Ninja Gaiden kind of stuff to it, like with how the combat works.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So was it like Legend of Zelda and that kind of stuff, or
The whole mix of things? It's all the things that I like about specific action games kind of combined into something that I think works. But I didn't want to get too complicated with the combat. We had a lot of ideas throughout production about like, oh, we could have this combo system. No, we could try this, and we could do like parries like Street Fighter 3 and blah 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 blah. So it's just there's a lot of ideas, and it kind of came down to what's like this most enjoyable and simplest form of this combat that we can develop. So it's just I am a fan of video games, and I like fast, responsive stuff. And I play a lot of fighting games and all that stuff. So it comes from many sources.
so it's like a hack and slash with like a fighting game mechanic to it.
I wouldn't. I mean, there's like frame data that we rely on and stuff like that, but there's not really any fighting game stuff in there per se. There were ideas about that never really made it in. But just the general mentality behind it of like fast, responsive, meaty, like visceral combat, and that's something that's impactful. You get that really good from fighting games in particular because that's all they do. So it better feel good to fight those, and a few other examples. I mean, Link to the Past was a good go-to for a lot of things, but the combat in itself is extremely simple, to the point where it's just a little repetitive. And so I think ours is a step beyond that and a little more interesting and dynamic. And of course, the enemies are, the kinds of patterns and stuff that they can do and the response. And Eddie there makes it more interesting or more tactical, I would say, rather than like Link to the Past, very mashy sword slashing.
So the game's coming out on what seems to be almost every single console and device.
That is not true.
Well, I mean,
it came out on PC, Mac, and Linux, and then it's coming for PS4 and Xbox One. We have Wii U in the waiting, and then Vita. So no 3DS. Yeah, we decided not to because that platform's kind of gone at this point.
I was about to say, like, I'm pretty sure everyone threw their Ouya in the trash can after that happened.
Yeah, that's a while ago. I mean, that company, I don't know. I won't get too far into that. But that's a fair amount of platforms, yes, but it's not like every platform because that would be ridiculous. Even just PC, Mac, and Linux was a lot for us. And we had originally decided way back when, like, yeah, we'll do a release on PC, Mac, Linux, PS4, and Xbox, and Wii all at the same time. But that's a crazy man's venture. So it takes time to port stuff and to do it right and go through certification and all this stuff and then support that platform. So it's, especially with our team, which is like 5 people at the core, it's kind of hard to manage that stuff. It's hard enough for us to respond to like PC, Mac, and Linux at the same time.
So how exactly did you guys go about getting your games onto like the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and also I guess the Wii U now too?
We talked to whatever reps there were for each company. I think we had a lot of good exposure for the Kickstarter, so it was easy enough to reach out to all the like third party managers for like each platform. And it's pretty straightforward. Just have a conversation. Be like, we want to be on your platform, or they want us on their platform, and we say, what do we do? And then you sign some paperwork, and that's it.
Sounds easy enough, right? So I could get a game, right? Right? No.
You could if you have something to pitch.
So this is it's an open world game with survival craft. It's going to be an early access. Don't worry. The money is just going to come out of nowhere. So,
exactly. And it'll have zombies in it.
Right. Yes. It has to have zombies in it. And it's going to be like create your own content too. So like if you want to make things for us, totally do it. We won't pay you at all.
I think you just sold Microsoft on a new property.
I think it's time for me to make it to the big leagues here. I think we've got something here.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Hopefully it goes over very well. I will see you in my giant yacht.
Okay. As long as it's a giant yacht, you have to specify because yachts aren't big. You just enough. You have to make it a giant yacht. Right.
It's got to be like Jay-Z kind of style yacht. It can't just be like, oh, like I rented the yacht for like the night kind of thing. Like it's got to be this is in my name. It's got a, bunch of crazy stuff in there. Diamond encrusted everything. Mm-hmm. It hurts to touch anything in the boat because it's so diamond encrusted.
I'm happy for your diamond success.
Thank you. So, in Hyperlight Drifter, you guys are going to be adding co-op to it. So, how is that going to play into it? Is it going to be like the story mode with another person, or is it a whole new thing?
We did add co-op. It's there. It's up. It's live. It's basically drop in, drop out couch co-op. So, I mean, people want online, but that's probably never going to happen. That's a tough one. Networking, and we don't have any specialty for that. And Game Maker is kind of a pain when it comes to any kind of network code. Plus, doing that on console is a whole nother story. But the local co-op stuff, it's something that was planned since. It's like one of the first features that Bo and I prototyped way back. I was like, because I want this to be a co-op experience. And as it stands now, we had cut the feature a couple of months before we released just because we didn't have the time. And it was there, just unfinished. So we came back to it and put it out on Steam yesterday. And it's you run through the story mode. You can drop in and out with another person on your couch next to you because we like friends.
Yeah, it's really hard to see that happen anymore. Like it seems like every game that comes out, you have to have online. You have to do the big multiplayer stuff. Everyone's got to be the MLG type game or something like that. And it's just
that's where the big dollars are. And it's hard to justify people or larger companies releasing games without like a long tail, meaning that they have some sort of method for players to keep bringing players back in. And so a solo single player experience is only going to last you so long, but if you have some sort of multiplayer or even like randomized element, which is why I think roguelikes are pretty popular these days, because you can keep going back and getting relatively fresh content. That's the thing. You hook people in, and large companies are risk averse, so of course they're going to make stuff. I mean, look at Uncharted 4, where it's like you don't really need the multiplayer in that, but you have it because that was never, it's never been its like strongest suit. Not to say it's bad. It just like I don't come to an Uncharted game for the multiplayer, but they have it there and it's fine. But I think maybe it'd be a better game without it potentially.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too when I saw they're like, oh man, if you pre-order it, you'll get like the multiplayer booster pack. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But I mean that game.
But like,
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was about to say because I mean Uncharted 4 is it's already getting 10 out of 10 reviews. I mean I feel like Naughty Dog's like we knew it was gonna be good. What do you think we're gonna make a bad game?
Right. I mean, they know what they're doing at this point. It's a fourth game, so it would be hard to screw it up. It's kind of like Far Cry and what they're doing. They have a formula, they follow it. People are starting to wear thin on it, but still, it'll get good scores and it'll make plenty of money. I think the Uncharted stuff is a little different in that I think they're still trying to do interesting and unique things with that, to like really push what that game can be seen as. But when you got something good, I think most companies will run with it and rather than ignore it, and they'll iterate and iterate and iterate until they burn it to the ground.
As long as it makes money, people are going to be like, yeah, absolutely, definitely. Everyone in the board meeting, make this happen.
Yeah.
Make sure this happens.
I mean, Activision is the prime example of that. So
yeah, it's the only company that I know of that will put a $20 game behind an $80 price wall.
A $20 game that everybody wants more than the actual $60 game.
Yeah, that's gotta. I feel like that should speak volumes there, but I know people are gonna buy it. They're gonna flock to it, and they're gonna be like, "Oh man, this is amazing."
I wouldn't be surprised if people were just playing Modern Warfare.
Like, I think
that's kind of what I plan to do, is just play Modern Warfare and ignore the other space thing that I don't care about.
I mean, maybe this time it's good. Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell you. Ghosts was not particularly good.
No, it's not. It was, yeah. I don't know. I can't remember the last time I was actually really impressed with a Call of Duty game, and same with even like Assassin's Creed, the games that are coming out like on a yearly basis, where it's like, all right.
Oh God, I don't know if I could care any less about Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, no, that's exactly like those games came with my graphics card, and I still haven't opened them.
Right.
I'm like,
yeah, it's just like when you run something into the ground like that, when you annualize it, it's like, what do you? I don't know. It's so shitty. It's such a shitty thing to do, because I really was excited by Assassin's Creed originally, and the prospects and like the unique things that they were doing there back in like 06 or whenever it first came out. And then 2 was really good, and Brotherhood was even better. And then after that, it's like, okay, we're just going to keep making these and slamming them together, and it's obvious that we're not actually taking the time to do anything really great with these, because we just don't have the time. And also just like there's no vision behind it anymore, because you have like 1,000+ people working on this fucking thing.
Right. Yeah, because it's kind of what they're doing with like Far Cry now too. Like Far Cry Primal
absolutely
was like,
what they're doing.
It was the exact same with 4. And I'm like, this isn't fun anymore. Like, you guys are just taking an idea and you're making it so by the numbers. Like the reason why people liked it in the first place was because it had like a different idea to it.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, yeah, I mean, Ubisoft is very homogenized at this point with their formulas. Like their open world formula works for them, so it's like stick it in every game. Okay, done. It's like, yeah, sure, you can do that, but everybody's gonna get fucking tired of it. And hey, we're tired of it. So I really enjoyed Far Cry 3 and 4. I thought 4 was better in plenty of ways, but I was also kind of tired of that formula at that point, just a bit. And now it's like, well, I don't have any interest in the next Far Cry after all this.
It seems like any open world game that's been coming out now is like, it's so boring and so contrived. Like, it's like there's no world to it. It's like, yeah, it's big and open, but there is nothing there. There's no personality to it. Nothing.
I think it depends on the game, and it's hard to populate a world with interesting things if it's that open, which is why a lot of games choose to do a more linear path. But I don't know, like, open world can be done really well, and it can also be very boring. And I think we've had more mediocre examples in the past couple of years, but there's still a few shining stars. I think the other thing with open world that happens with me, like at least with Grand Theft Auto and some other things, is where it's so open that I just want to do all sorts of crazy stuff. And then by the time I've done that, I'm like, oh, well, okay, now I don't really know where I am or what I'm doing. At some point, I need better guidance in certain games, and I don't always feel like I get it. But like if the world is too open, if it's too much of a sandbox, then it's like I don't want to follow the other things.
Yeah,
I get this like tension. I get this tension as a player. I'm like, oh, what do? I don't know. I want to go blow up some cars, or maybe I should follow the story, but then I can't blow up cars.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what happens. Like that. Like when I got Grand Theft Auto 4, I don't even know what some of the story missions were in that. And in 5, like all I did was ride around on the dirt bike and just try to ramp off as many things as possible.
Right. I mean, it's kind of that thing where like you have a wealth of options, like an overabundance of interesting things to do, and then you get this choice fatigue in a way. Where you're like, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that, but then you lose your way and you start to meander, and it's like, well, what's the point of this? Okay, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Like you don't have, for me at least, like that's kind of how a lot of the Grand Theft Autos end up. And I never seem to finish them just because like I lose my way at a certain point, and especially with the latest one where it's like, man, this game's fantastic. It's really cool. I mean, there's some good writing here and there, but look what they're doing with the world. Look at how many things you can do. You can ride a fucking bike, mountain climbing, you can ride your airplane. Bank heist sounds really cool. And then there's this whole online component. It's like I just got lost in it all. It was just too much for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really know what I want to do in this world anymore. It's trying to be everything.
That's actually why I avoided Grand Theft Auto 5, was just because like I'm like, I don't have the time for this. Like I know I don't have the time for this.
Right.
Like
I certainly didn't either.
The last open world game that I can think of that I beat was Infamous Second Son, and that was because the game was like 8 hours long.
Yeah, and I think that Infamous team is pretty small in comparison to every other open world game maker. They have a more focused game just by virtue of the size of their company, and that's like, fine. I don't know. Like I think these days I prefer a more focused experience. Is basically what it comes down to. Because I'm an old man.
Yes, that's how I feel too. Like my most anticipated game is Uncharted 4 because I know that I'm at least going to try and beat that game.
You have your goals laid out very clearly.
It's like if it's a game that I can beat, it's already going to be in my mind a game of the year. So like I beat the new Ratchet and Clank game. And I'm like, that was the best game I played so far this year because I could actually finish it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of nice when you finish a game. There's something rewarding about that, isn't there?
Yeah. No, it's like cool. I spent my money and I got something out of it. So
yeah, but it's a big conflict though, because on one hand, sure, I prefer the more focused experiences, but on the other hand, and completion. But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, I'll play Street Fighter all day long, and that's fine. And there's no end goal to that other than like I just want to get better. But that's also very linear in its setup because you're just if you're getting better or not, and it's just a progression of fights. So there's nothing else. It's very pure in that regard. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't completed a game in a while. I've been very busy making my own game, and then it's hard to hold my attention when things are being split so many different ways. And there's like so many different games out there. So
right, especially with like with Steam and stuff, where there are like so many different developers on there that are either making meme games or they're making games that are actually good. God. Like, how do you?
Or they're just flooding it with like old Android ports and stuff like that.
Right.
Again, there's a wealth of content and a wealth of games, and that can be good and bad. Like it's like you can oversaturate things, and people can get tired of that. And again, choice fatigue is a very real thing. So on the other hand, it's like, hey man, I have infinite games now that I can play. It's cool that there's so many things out there, and there's so many different creative good games out there that stand out amongst all the shovelware and just like reiterative junk.
Yeah, that honestly, like when I saw your guys' game, like I was like, this is a game that actually looks like people gave a crap making it and looks fun, instead of a game that's like it's trying to cash in on like the nostalgia games and all that stuff. Like this game actually seems like something that they actually want you to play it and really enjoy it, and that if you were to contact them about a problem with the game, that they would actually want to help you with it.
Right.
So
yeah, we care about our game.
That's good. I think every developer
I personally answer like every single email. So
exactly. I mean, like, see, everyone should play Hyper Light Drifter because it is a fantastic game, and it's only $20.
Because Alex answers his emails.
And Alex answers his emails. Everyone likes a guy that answers his emails. So there we go. Yep. So to wrap it all up, what what is the next thing for Heart Machine? Are you guys kind of planning out a sequel to Hyperlight, or are you kind of just seeing where things are going right now, or?
I mean, in the immediate future, we're putting out console ports, and I'm fulfilling remaining Kickstarter rewards. Beyond that, I mean, we already, like any good company, are moving forward on things. Like, yeah, I've been working on stuff. There are things under development. There's not going to be anything to announce anytime soon, other than like, yep, we're working on stuff. There will be things coming down the pipeline in the future.
That works.
There is the other project. That's it.
Just don't turn into Valve, where it's 8 years and still nothing. So, but I have faith in you.
I don't. I like to make things as good as I can, but also within a reasonable amount of time. Like I really don't want to be spending 8 fucking years on a video game. So it's like Hyperlight was a little more than 3, like almost 4 years for me personally that I was working on it, because off and on for about a year, and then full time with the team 2.5 years. And that seems like enough time to me, more than enough. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. I love this project, but also I'm ready to be done with it. So a few years from now. That's the plan.
That is, that is crazy how much time put into it, but I mean, it paid off. The game's doing very well. Like I said before, thank you so much for coming on to the show and answering your emails, because you're cool. And
my mom told me to always answer my email.
That's good. That's some really good values to have.
Eat your liver and onions and answer your fucking emails, son.
So if people want to check out the game, it's Hyperlight Drifter. It is on the PC, Mac, Linux, and will come out later this year for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Wii U. And
there's still some questions there, but PS4 and Xbox One for sure.
And next year, Hyperlight Drifter will come out for the toaster, the fridge, and
Samsung fridge.
Yes, the Samsung fridge. You heard it here first, guys.
Special announcement. All of the Samsung fridges will have Hyperlight on them.
Yeah, take that, IGN and GameSpot. Where's your exclusive news now?
Whoa,
coming up.
You're breaking it down for everybody.
I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to regret that.
You're fired.
I am super fired now. But yeah, thank you so much, man. It's been good.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to talk with me.
No problem. And everybody go buy this game. It's great. Heart Machine. Super cool dudes.
All right, thanks.
Thank you for listening to this week's Gamer Weekly. This is Justin Banster signing off.